So it's 8:30, so we can get started. So Bhunaji had to step out for a minute. So Anu, could you please do the invocation? Sahana Bhavatu.
Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Welcome back. Let's continue our understanding of the 8th chapter or the study of 8th chapter. So we covered up to verse 19, I believe, and we are going to start from 20th. But on a high level, this chapter is focusing on the idea of upasana to Ishwara. So we saw in our spiritual journey, upasana plays a critical role because it provides the necessary stability of our mind. So this chapter talked about that upasana, and Krishna tells what exactly is the stature or the state of your mind during your final period. It's not the last moment, but the mental makeup of your final stage is going to determine the gati or the direction of your soul. And if you want to have Ishwara or that type of thoughts, if you want to have that stability of your mind in your final moments, you need to practice that right now. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu, not at the end. So that we need to highlight. And then we talked about when you think about the moksha or the path to the ultimate destination, there are two different paths. The first path is known as the Jeevan Mukti. So Jeevan Mukti is you gain the purity of the mind and the stability of the mind here itself. And with that pure and stable mind, you are trying to understand yourself with the help of the scriptures. Then you understand your own true nature here and right now, and that is what is known as Jeevan Mukti. So when you are living, you are liberated, but the body will continue to live till your prarabdha continues. And once you leave the body, videha mukti, like you don't need to reborn again. So that is one path. The second path is if you are a highly practiced upasaka or a meditator, there is another path. That path is you are living your body by your own will by doing this Omkara Upasana or the Taraka Mantra Upasana, by bringing your prana or exiting the prana through the Brahma Granthi, through the high meditative practices. And such people, what Krishna said is, they will go to a higher plane of existence, symbolically referred as Brahmaloka, from where they expose to this teaching, and eventually they will get the mukti. And that path is known as Krama Mukti. So we talked about Jeevan Mukti and Krama Mukti. So Krama Mukti means you haven't realized yet. You have the purity of the mind or the stability of the mind, but you haven't known yourself properly. But you're a highly skilled meditator. Means you would be a Raja Yogi who can control your pranas in whatever way you want. So this is the second path. And then Krishna said, see, typically means we can say that if you work hard or if you put effort to gain a loka, you may do a lot of punya karma, you may do a lot of work, and that work may earn punyas, and because of that punya, you may reborn with some conducive environments. So the greatest benefit of karma is what? It is going to help you to reborn, and wherever you get reborn, whether it is in this world or it in Swarga or even in Brahmaloka, all these worlds are limited. They are not permanent. They all are temporary. To point this out, Krishna started giving the life of Brahmaji. Remember, we talked about one day of Brahma is one Mahayuga, and Brahma lives 100 years. And that is a long time when you compare the life of a typical human being. But even that long time is finite. So one thing is, it is the finite nature of this world. Wherever you get reborn, there is some finitude is there. And the second challenge is what? The cyclic nature. We talked about that. Let's say that I'm reborn here at the beginning of, say, the beginning of the Brahmaji's day, because the whole universe exists at the beginning of the Brahmaji's day. If you remember, that was the verse we talked. When Brahma opens, remember, means Brahmaji's day marks the beginning of a manifestation. And Brahmaji goes to sleep. What happens? The world goes to unmanifested state. So between this manifestation and unmanifestation, the cycle will continue. So if you reborn at the beginning of this Brahmaji's day, our life is maybe 100 years or less than that. You born again and again and again. So the cyclic nature. So the verse 17 talked about the impermanence of this world, whatever world it is, including Brahmaloka. And the verse 18 we heard, the verse 18 we heard the impermanence of this world, Brahmaloka, including Brahmaloka. And verse 19 we saw what? The cyclic nature. Like I'm born, again die. Its cycle goes round and round and round. Right? You may think that it is fun. Like say, you know this merry-go-round, right? It's like that. But there is a difference. Who decides when I get into this cycle or this wheel? I decide. And when I want to get out, who decide?
I decide.
I decide. But in this cycle of samsara, the birth and the death and the birth and the death, who decides? Do I have any control? The word used is avashaha. You're helpless. You're born and born again, die again. Born again, die again. So this is the nature of the samsara. This is the problem. So two verses brilliantly paints the temporary nature of the universes wherever you go. Second one is that cyclic, avrti. Multiple times you born again and die. So now Krishna goes to the next topic. So again, you please understand why the Brahmaloka is called out here. Why that birth of cycle means death and birth is mentioned here. It shows two important points. One is the impermanence of the world. The second one is the cyclic nature of the life and the death. So this is what we saw in the previous session. Anu, could you please chant verses from 18 to 22? Let's please listen to 18 and 19 first. Let's do 18 and 19. That is what I was recapping right now.
Okay. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha Atha Ashtamodhyayah Akshara Parabrahma Yogaha Avyaktat Vyaktayas Sarvaha Prabhavantyah Ragame रात्र्यागमे प्रलीयन्ते तत्रैवाव्यक्तसंज्ञके भूतग्रामः स एवायं भूत्वा भूत्वा प्रलीयते रात्र्यागमे वशः पार्थ प्रभवत्यः रागमे
Ratyagame avasha partha. You're avasha, you're helpless. When that Brahmaji's day begins, what happens? Because of your karma, you're born again and again, right? Bhutva bhutva. Praliyate prabhavanti haragame. Haragame means when the day begins, you again born again and again and again. And the other one, so all the beings, at the end of Brahmaji's day, right, what is going to happen? It will go into that unmanifested stage. And at the beginning of the Brahmaji's day, you get reborn again and again. Complicating matter further, after 100 years of Brahmaji's life, what is going to happen? Even Brahmaji goes to unmanifested state. And for a period of time, everything is in an unmanifested state. After that, initially the Vishnu gets manifested, and then the Brahmaji gets manifested. From Brahmaji, the whole universe gets manifested. So Ishwara's Manasa Srishti is the world we are experiencing. So we saw a lot of Puranic ideas. We try to marry all those things with these topics. So with that, let's go to today's topic, which is verse 20. Anu, could you chant?
Yeah. Parastasmattu bhavonyah avyakto vyaktat sanatanaha yassa sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu na vinashyati.
This is again these two verses, 20, 21, and even 22. We need to pay good attention. Highest Vedantic truth is explored in these verses. You may see even modern physics, when you hear that, it's a reflection of these verses. Amazing verses. So far, there was something which was a matter of belief. Last week, we had that long discussion. There are certain things which you cannot prove, which you cannot disprove. And it is up to you whether you believe it or not. So last week also I said, whatever people say, nobody can say that the reincarnation can be proved. Much less, it cannot be disproved also. So just like the reincarnation cannot be proved or disproved, there are certain things which you cannot prove and disprove. But there are certain things you can understand. And this verse is one of them. So last week we mentioned, right? 100 or thousands of anecdote is not a replacement of one proof. But so it is up to you to believe whether you go to this Krama Mukti and all. But look at these verses 20, 21, and 22. You need to understand this verse. It is not just believing in something, because we need to pay some attention and we need to understand this. So here Krishna tells, the first point is, he tells, right? Let's understand the concept and then we come back to the literal meaning. We talked about a world which is, what is the nature of that world we talked? When Brahmaji's day begins, what is going to happen? The world becomes manifest. During Brahmaji's night, it goes to unmanifest. So manifestation, unmanifestation. Even in the second chapter we saw, right? Avyaktat dini bhutani Vyaktamathyani Bharata, Avyakta Nidhananyeva. In the beginning means it was in the unmanifested stage. In between, you see it is manifested during the daytime. When Brahmaji's night comes, it becomes unmanifested. So if you remember, one concept or one idea we discussed a lot last week was, when you say avyakta, it is not abhava. What is the difference between avyakta and abhava, if you can think of? Avyakta is unmanifest, and abhava means what?
Absence.
Absence. Avyakta is unmanifest, abhava is absence. So when you say avyakta, the world was in an unmanifested form. So Krishna tells, if you really plot a graph with respect to time, you can see that the world becomes manifest in between, and then it goes to unmanifest, then it becomes manifest, then it goes to unmanifest stage. So here in this verse, Krishna tells, he tells there is anya abhava. Parat tasmad anya abhava. So beyond this avyakta and vyakta, there is one more bhava. The bhava here means existence. So avyakta has an existence, vyakta has an existence, and Krishna tells this, beyond this avyakta and vyakta, there is one more existence. Can you think about that?
Transition.
It is very, very deep. Try to understand that, right? So when you think about the whole absolute reality, the Nirguna Brahman. So in the 7th chapter we saw, right, how the universe got manifested. From the Apara Prakriti. Remember that? Apara Prakriti. The Para Prakriti got manifested. And that Para Prakriti sometimes shows as a differentiated universe, and sometimes it is shown as an undifferentiated universe. So this Para Prakriti, which is born out of the Apara Prakriti. So imagine this, the Brahman or the absolute reality is there. The existence is from that Brahman or the absolute reality. From that Brahman, what happened? The subtle matter got emerged. And from the subtle matter, the physical matter got emerged. And from the physical matter, the whole universe got manifested. Remember that discussion? What is the difference between physical matter and subtle matter? The physical matter is in the manifested form, whereas the subtle matter, it is in the unmanifested form. So the point is that from the absolute reality, the physical matter and the subtle matter got emerged, or the manifested universe or the unmanifested universe got emerged. So I just wanted to bring your attention to Shankaracharya's commentary of the Bhagavad Gita. The first line, right? He tells Narayana Parovyakta Andam Andasya Sambhavam. Andasya Andasya me loka sapta deepacha medini. This is how the universe got erected. Narayana Paro Avyakta, the supreme unmanifested existence of the universe, the uncaused cause of the universe. That is what we call it as Narayana, or the absolute reality, or the Brahman. From that absolute reality, the undifferentiated universe got emerged. And from that undifferentiated universe, the differentiated universe got manifested. And from that Andam Avyakta Sambhavam. Andam means the seed. And Andasya me loka. The whole universe got manifested from that differentiated universe. And in that differentiated universe, Sapta Deepacha Medini. There is the earth got manifested. And what is that characteristics of that earth? How many continents are there? Saptadvipa. Saptadvipa means the earth with its 7 continents got manifested. Look at this. Narayana Parovyaktat Andam Andasya Sambhavam. Andasya me loka Saptadvipa cha medini. So there is an absolute reality. What is absolute reality's meaning? What is the Paramarthika Satyam? If you don't understand, please raise the hand. Let's need to discuss. Absolute reality means it is Paramarthika Satyam, Abadidam Satyam, that which is not subjected to change, that which is not subjected to negation, that which is not subjected to destruction, that which gives existence to everything. Remember, we think that the matter, the basic elements of the matter gives existence to everything. But we found that that matter is dependent upon something. We saw that, right? It dependent upon atoms. And atoms dependent upon something else, and that something else dependent upon something. And if you trace this back to the fundamental source, that is the absolute existence. Everything else is relative existence. We can say that the gold ornament has a relative existence. What exactly it is dependent upon? Gold. And if you think that gold has absolute existence, no, the gold is dependent upon some other chemical. And that chemical depends upon something. If you go back, you can trace that back to the absolute reality. Swami Chinmayananda used to call this as uncaused cause. He invented a language, uncaused cause, which is the absolute reality. So here Krishna tells, right? So he tells, there is an Anya Bhava. Anya Bhava means there is another existence beyond this differentiated universe and undifferentiated universe. There is another existence. And paras tasmat, that tasmat paraha, that existence. Tasmat paraha anya bhavaha. And he tells, vyakto vyakta sanatanaha. That anya bhava means the other existence. Means we talked about the vyakta and avyakta in the previous verse. During Brahmaji's time, the universe will be in a differentiated form. During Brahmaji's night, the whole thing is in an undifferentiated form. That doesn't mean that it is not there, but it is an undifferentiated form. So there is a universe, there is an existence which is differentiated. There is an existence which is undifferentiated. Now he tells, beyond this differentiated and undifferentiated universe, there is another reality. And that reality, he tells, paraha, that is the absolute, that is the most supreme. So that is the absolute reality which is beyond this differentiated and undifferentiated universe. And he tells, vyakto avyakta, which is beyond this vyakta and avyakta. In fact, vyakta and avyakta universe dependent upon this absolute reality. And this vyakta universe, or the differentiated universe, or the undifferentiated universe is depending upon this absolute reality. Let's go one step further. The differentiated universe is Brahmaji's day, whatever he projected in his mind. And the undifferentiated universe is Brahmaji's night. That Brahmaji's day, Brahmaji's night, and even Brahmaji and his creator, even the Vishnu, the Brahmaloka, everything is dependent upon that absolute reality. And that is why it is called Paraha. Paraha means ultimate. That is the absolute reality. Parat tasmat anya bhavaha. Tasmat anya bhavaha. There is another absolute reality. There is another reality which is the absolute and which is beyond this vyakta, avyakta, sanatanaha. And it is sanatanaha. It is the most ancient because it is beyond the differentiated universe. It is beyond the undifferentiated universe. And that is the most ancient. And that is why it is called sanatanaha. So beyond this differentiated universe, beyond this undifferentiated universe, there is another order of reality. And that reality is the absolute reality. And he tells, Yasas sarveshu bhudeshu. So he tells the entire universe, entire living being, right? It comes forth from that absolute reality. Everything exists in that absolute reality. So here we are talking about the most absolute reality, which is beyond Brahmaji, which is beyond Ishvara, which is beyond the creation of Ishvara or the projection of Ishvara, let's use that word, and which is beyond the unmanifested state of Ishvara. So that is what is referred in this verse. Is it clear? Because this is the most advanced topic of Vedanta. This absolute reality do not have any beginning, do not have any end, do not have any change, and this is all pervading. This is means all the definition we saw in the second chapter of the Gita, right? It is all pervading. It is ancient, most ancient. It is not subjected to change. It doesn't have any movement. It is of the nature of absolute existence, consciousness, and ananda. So this is the ultimate state we can imagine. Not imagine, this is truth. And nobody can logically disprove it. You should read Erwin Schrodinger's book, What is Life? He's going to talk. He's talking about this. This is such a brilliant verse. Any questions?
Rajesh?
Yes.
Undifferentiated is the same as unmanifest, right? They are the same words?
Yes. Undifferentiated is unmanifest.
Okay.
So, Rajesh ji,
Yeah.
when we die, our physical body leaves, right? Then our subtle body stays. So when the pralaya comes, the subtle body also goes away. So what is remaining there? The causal body, or what is it?
Correct. Causal body.
So that, what happens to that?
Causal body will continue in an unmanifested state.
Oh, that also will go into an
unmanifested state. Exactly. So at any point of time, there could be manifested universe or unmanifested universe. What we are talking in this verse is the manifest, whether it is manifested universe or unmanifested universe. Both are dependent upon the absolute reality.
I wonder why this play, let us all be happy.
That is very, very hard to answer. It is because of our karma. And again, the unanswered question, right? Why did the whole cycle started? We don't know. But look at the depth of the thinking. Look at the depth of the thinking, right? So here you are talking about one reality, that Advaita vision. One reality, that unity, right? That one absolute reality. When did the modern physics started talking about that? Not even at the time of Newton. Only when it came to Einstein, the search for this unified field started. Till then, we believed what? The time and space was absolute. Here the time and the space and the whole thing is part of what? This manifested world. And we are saying that something beyond that. How can people come up with this type of thinking? This is the ultimate. Nobody can know. That's why it means when Shankara wrote that commentary, that's why I was quoting Shankara. How the whole universe emerged out. Remember, he is not using any telescope or any supercomputer or any mathematical model to prove this. It's from his meditation he is writing. Narayana Parovyakta. This absolute reality is the most fundamental reality of the universe, and it is Ekam Eva Advitiyam. It is one and non-dually one, and it is without attributes, without any form, without any name. And he said, like, the undifferentiated universe came out of that. And from that undifferentiated universe, the differentiated universe came. And within that differentiated universe world, the earth came forth, and within that earth, the 7 continents came in. Sit down and think for a moment. What is the period of Shankaracharya? 1200 years back.
8th century. Correct.
Yeah, or 8th century or
8 AD.
8 AD, right? Whatever it is, right? So imagine the maximum speed one can travel at that point of time. 35 kilometers per hour, because that is the maximum speed of a horse. Sitting in Kerala to Kashmir, how can he even conceive there is 7 continents? And he is only quoting this. 8th century Shankaracharya is only quoting this from the scriptures, which is written 5,000 years back. So this is mind-boggling. This idea of this vision of Advaita, the vision of absolute reality, you will not see this clarity anywhere. Means at least as far as I read.
Rajesh, we can't even understand it even now.
Right.
So forget about 5,000 years back, right?
Exactly. But I mean, at least let's appreciate the depth of the thinking.
So Rajesh?
Yeah.
So from absolute reality, how did the undifferentiated universe come about?
So the absolute reality, what happens? It emerged out the undifferentiated universe. So you can think about the undifferentiated universe like a seed. And from the seed, what happens? The tree came out. After that, it goes back to the seed form. But the seed as well as the tree both came from some other source, and that source is absolute reality.
Absolute reality. So by the previous
please don't take this example literally, because I'm just using one example. So don't think that unmanifested universe is like a seed. This is just an example. And I cannot find this example in anywhere in scripture. Whatever came to my mind, I just said. But it's a good example. It is in a potential form.
Right. So in the previous statement, when it says Avyata is not abhava, right, he's trying to say an unmanifested state, there is still an existence. It's
Correct.
not an existence. So
yeah, it is an existence. It's a state. And from there, manifested existence will come. But he's now saying that the unmanifested state and the manifested state exist because of something else. The real existence of this unmanifested and manifested state is something else. It is like you can say that the golden ornament, I mean, like the ring I have, right now it's in a manifested state. Before that, it is in an unmanifested state. But you can say that the unmanifested state and the manifested state, both are dependent upon something else, which is nothing but gold. Again, that example is not complete, but you can understand. What exactly provides the true existence of a being? That is absolute reality. And that is why we put the word absolute, right? That adjective is used, absolute. And in Sanskrit, we call it as Paramarthika Satyam. Paramarthika Satyam means that is the ultimate truth. And what we see as relative existence, remember what is the term we use?
Vyavaharika.
Vyapaharika Satyam, relative reality. And then there is another order of reality. That is why the three orders of reality, right? It is very important to understand. It's an order of reality. We never said, right, something it doesn't exist. We said that it's relatively exist or absolutely exist or it doesn't exist. And if something doesn't exist, but if I see that, that is called Pradipasika. It's only in my mind. So when I see a snake in a rope, a rope in a snake, the rope has Vyavaharika Satya. The snake is Pradipasika Satya. And the absolute existence of both snake and rope and even the seer is the Paramarthika Satya. So this is the three orders of reality. But this verse is talking about the absolute reality. So,
Rajesh, I have one more question.
Yeah, please.
actually two questions. One, when you when compared to the sleep, the Vyavaharika Satyam, Sopna can be the dream can be said as a illusion, the Pradibhasika, right?
Right. That is again from a relative's perspective. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And the other question is related to the Maya. So you use that the word Maya to explain from absolute reality and how the world is formed. So do we use that for Avyakta, Vyakta, or both?
It's mainly to answer correctly, both are Maya, because anything material is Maya. So if you go to the Avyakta, it is subtle matter. So the most subtlest form of matter is called avidya. So remember, the physical body is constituted of physical matter. The subtle body is constituted of subtle matter. And the causal body is constituted of something called avidya, which is Maya.
Got it.
But the expression of Maya, the manifestation of Maya is visible in the physical universe.
It's only the degree.
Right, because everything other than the Paramarthika Satya is Maya.
No.
We are getting into the deepest topics of Vedanta. In some of the Upanishads, you will see these things, but this is good.
Thank you.
Rajesh, one question.
Yep.
Rajesh. So during Shankara's time, the continents were not discovered?
I don't know, like it might have discovered, but how does communication happen between, how does he know that Antarctica existed or Australia existed sitting here? If the communication was there, well and good, but I'm just saying that the clarity of the vision. So if you really look at our scriptures, you talk about Mount Meru. And where is Mount Meru?
Himalayas.
Indonesia. It's in Indonesia. So, of course, the culture would have been spread up to Indonesia or even Cambodia, etc. But beyond that, I was just citing an example, right? But forget all these things. This idea of absolute reality. How can a human, right now I can appreciate it because we study physics. Otherwise, we would have doubted it. Imagine without the help of any scientific discovery, somebody is talking about this.
Like what physics says, Rajesh, about this absolute
Physics do not talk about this level of detail. So physics goal, especially the modern physics, what it tries is trying to discover that unity, right? So means what exactly is the approach of physics typically? Physics is trying to fit what you see within a model, right? So if you see like the laws of motion, how it is discovered is you see the motion and you try to fit that observed phenomena within a model. That's it. So like that, they created this theory of relativity and quantum mechanics to understand the universe. So the relativity theory, initially they came up with a special theory of relativity, which explains a lot of observed phenomena in a certain way. And then the general theory of relativity came, then the quantum mechanics came. But the problem is what? The relativity explains all the macro objects, and the quantum mechanics explains very well what is the micro objects, what is happening there. The world of atoms is very well explained by the quantum mechanics, discovered by Erwin Schrödinger. And the macro universe is explained by the theory of relativity of Einstein. This was not compatible to each other. So Einstein spent almost 25 years of his time trying to identify the unification of all these theories. Even now it is not fully proven, but the emergence of string theory and all these indications are pointing towards the fact at least on a hypothesis basis, that there is one underlying reality. They don't talk about a lot of other things, but at least the physics is moving in that direction. It is clearly proven that time and space are not absolutes. They are relatives. And the cyclic nature of the universe, we say that, right? And without any doubt, it is proven that the universe is not 5,000 years old. All that is proven. So more to come. Science will take some more time. But if anybody is interested, there is a simple book you can read to get an understanding of these basic physics concept. It's an old book. I read this when I was in college, like 25 years back. 20 plus years back, 25 years back. So that book is known as A Brief History of Time. Anybody read that book?
Yeah, it's for Stephen Hawking.
Stephen Hawking.
Yeah, okay.
It is in our library. It is a good book. At least read the first chapter. You get a clear idea. A Brief History of Time. And anybody interested more on this Vedanta and this modern physics? There is a book called The Tao of Physics. Tao of Physics. It is by Fridge O. Capra, Dr. Fridge O. Capra. Again, this book was published in 70s. And the effect of this book. You can see I believe it is in Switzerland or somewhere in one of the European countries, their nuclear physics laboratory, you can see a Nataraja statue. That Nataraja statue is conceived because of this book, because this book talks about that. This book quotes from Mundakopanishad first. Kasminno vijñāte sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati. By knowing which, I can know everything in the universe. So what is that fundamental, foundational item I need to know? Is it atom? No, because atom is dependent upon something. Is it electron? No. Is it positron? No. Is it electromagnetic energy? No. So if you go down, what is that fundamental particle? This is Mundaka Upanishad first verse. So
how to know that?
That is what the inquiry, right? So what is the Vedanta method? Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga. So this is the path. But he's telling about the absolute reality. Couple of other points. Yeah. So he tells this underlying reality. Yeah. He tells, yes, sarveshu bhuteshu na vinishyati, right? So what is the nature of this absolute reality? It never gets destroyed. And Shankaracharya call it as Akshara Para Brahman. This absolute reality is known as Akshara Para Brahman. Akshara means what? That which do not have any destruction. If you take the manifested universe, it has an end. If you take unmanifested universe, that also has an end. So what is that reality which do not have any beginning and end? That is known as Akshara. Akshara Para Brahma. Brahman means reality, and Para Brahma means the word you add param means absolute or the ultimate reality. That is.
Is there any difference between reality and absolute reality?
Reality can be relative reality also. The gold ornament is a relative reality compared to the gold, because the gold ornament is born at a particular period of time, and that ring may change into a necklace another point of time. So the existence means it is conditioned by time and space, whereas absolute reality is not conditioned by time and space. So desha, kala, vastu, parichinna. You may hear all these things in Sahasranamas, right? If you chant Lalita Sahasranama or Vishnu Sahasranama, you may hear all these names. Desha, kala, vastu, parichinna. That which is not conditioned by space time, causation, attributes, anything. All these are big words. That which is not conditioned by space means what? See, I'm sitting in North Brunswick. What does that mean? I'm not there in South Brunswick. So I'm conditioned or constrained by space. What is constrained by time? I'm sitting here now. 100 years back, if you come to North Brunswick, I was not here. 100 years later, if you come to North Brunswick, I won't be there. So my existence is conditioned by time and space. So if something's existence, some existence is conditioned by time and space, what do you call? It is relative. Whereas if something, look at the word, parat tasmat anya bhavaha vyakta vyakta sanadanaha. That which goes beyond the vyakta and avyakta. That is the absolute reality. So let's chant this verse one more time, because this is such an important verse. And then go to the next one.
Parastasmatu bhavonyaha avyakto vyaktat sanatanaha yassa sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu na vinashyati.
Tells ya sa sarva bhuteshu, when all the being, right? When all the being get destroyed, all the being includes all the universes also. When including Brahmaji, when they get destroyed, what happens? What is the last verse? It tells this reality doesn't get destroyed. When everything else gets destroyed, this reality doesn't get destroyed. Amazing verse. So we will start at least the next verse. So what is our ultimate goal? So could you please stand, Anu?
Avyakto kshara ityuktaha tamahuh paramam gatim yam prapya na nivartante tadhama paramam mama.
So earlier, what was the 2 points Krishna was discussing? If you go to any world, including Brahmaji's world, they are subjected to 2 things. One is they are not permanent. And what was the next one? They are cyclic. But so compared to that, right? So he tells this avyaktoksharam ityuktaha. So this akshara, what is the nature of this absolute reality? Tamahu paramam gatim. That is the ultimate goal. If you go anywhere else, you will have to come back, and that is not the final destination. So he tells yam prapya na nivartante. Once you know this absolute reality, what is the thing? You don't have to come back. Na prapya na nivartante. Once you reach here, you will not come back. Once you know my true nature as the absolute reality, you won't come back. So this is the whole idea. So now do you understand why Krishna was talking about Brahmaji's age? And at that time I said, right, don't get sidetracked with that calculation, etc. It doesn't matter Brahmaji's age is 3 billion years or 10 billion years. But it is conditioned by time. Any universe is conditioned by time. But so he tells avyakta akshara iti uktaha. So this means iti uktaha means it is said by the scriptures or the masters or by the Vedas. It is said that this akshara is the absolute reality. And this absolute reality is this is the ultimate destination of every being. And once you reach there, there is no coming back. Whereas if you go anywhere else, you may come back. That is not what is. So the whole idea of taking all these different paths and different lokas is to show that they are not permanent. The temporary nature of the universe and the cyclic nature of the universe. And you need to go beyond that. And for that, the only means is knowledge. You need to understand your true nature. That is the whole idea. So, once again, this absolute reality state, it is the ultimate goal of every being. And once you go there, once you go there, or once you know my real nature, there is no other way. Meaning there is no coming back. So having said this, Krishna now is going to tell us, how do you know me? Means he had already talked about this. So he's going to talk about, I'll just give the introduction. So there is two ways of describing or defining something in our school of logic. So in Vedanta, right, we use a system of logic called, anybody know? Nyaya. Yeah. This is our logic. So per the Nyaya school or the vision of the ancient India, there are two ways to define something. And one is called Tatastha Lakshana and the other one is Surupa Lakshana. Tatastha Lakshana is you are going to describe something using another thing. So for example, if you use the non-universe, right? The universe is known to me. I use this non-universe to describe the Brahman. So that is Tatastha Lakshana. And Swarupa Lakshana, you try to express the nature of that object. So now we are going to see the Tatastha Lakshana and the Swarupa Lakshana of this absolute reality in the next verse. It's very interesting how systematic and how logical it is. You see how, that means I just told this because how systematically we are proceeding with this. So the Tatastha Lakshana and the Swarupa Lakshana of this reality is going to be explained. And one of the beautiful terms we use, Parama Purusha, that is the term used to describe absolute reality. So we will understand what is Purusha. One definition of Purusha is, you know what is Purusha? One of the definition of Purusha? That which is inside you, which remains in a sleep mode. Meaning it won't do any action. As if like sleep, it resides in you. But because of that, you function. That is what is known as one Lakshana of Purusha. So what is that inside me? Give existence to me, but it won't perform any action. But because of that, my body acts. Consciousness. And that's exactly what is the Purusha. So we will see how the Tatastha Lakshana and Swarupa Lakshana is going to be applicable here. And I wanted to bring one important, because last week somebody was asking, right? It was Rajesh T. Randomly did we pick these gods? No. I said, no, there is a meaning. So when you see Lord Vishnu, what is he doing always? Sleep, as though he is sleeping. Look at this. This is the definition. He represents the consciousness. The consciousness as if it is like lying down and not acting, but everything is acting because of that. So that is symbolically called out by the Yoga Nidra of Vishnu. So that is just a coincidence. We had a chance to explain that. So, and the dance of Shiva, it is Nataraja. We can, that is cosmic dance. So all these forms are not randomly picked up. It is well designed. So we'll continue this discussion. And after next one more verse, it's very easy. Meaning this chapter is just talking about some Puranic thing. It is going to talk about the two paths. One is the path of Uttarayana. The other one is the path of Dakshinayana. We need to understand again, a lot of people have some thought that if you die in Uttarayana, you are saved, right? So we'll see all those beliefs in the modern context. And if people say, right, Bhishma was waiting for Uttarayana, etc., etc. So we'll try to connect all those dots.
Rajesh, in the context of Purusha, Prakriti is
I was going to ask
matter. Prakriti is matter.
Manifested one.
Manifested world. Purusha and Prakriti. Yeah. So Purusha is the consciousness. Prakriti is the manifested matter. The marriage of Purusha and Prakriti is the whole universe.
Universe, Jagat.
Yeah. So another way of representing it is Purusha is Shiva, Prakriti is Devi, Shakti. So combination of this is the whole manifested universe.
Sister, I was looking at the Saptadvipa. I remember reading it, that Saptadvipa, when it was done, King Prithu was the first one he ruled the whole entire world, it seems.
Yeah, that is Purana. So that came later.
Correct.
So, yeah.
But my question is, he was the first king, right? King Prithu was the first one, right?
That is Puranas only, right? Again, the Purana came after. So if you go to
the manifestation Purana, of the
seven. They wrote all these things. Means there are so many stories in the Purana. So there you see that the earth was like rolled like a mat, etc., etc. So those are symbolic. We can go to the symbolism of that. But
no. The reason I said I understand that, but the reason I said was, there was nowhere in the history, like people were saying, right, who wrote all this, who found all this, who found all these continents and all that came later. But actually it was already there, and according to our Vedic scriptures, it was there, and it was run by, see how we're all.
But that is not part of Veda, right? So the Prithu story came in the Purana. So meaning, let me just be objective. Purana means we cannot take that literally, right? It cannot be proven 100%. So per Purana, Prithu was there, and that is why the word Prithvi came, earth. So the one who the place ruled by Prithu is Prithvi. So that is story. So we may have to, meaning I don't want to say that it is wrong or right. It is Purana. So
no,
Purana
the only reason I brought this up was, it was already recognized by people, right?
That is absolutely true.
The manifestation of this Saptadvipa is already
absolutely. Yeah, that is even the first sentence of Shankaracharya's commentary. It is that. So, and Shankara, right? Shankara, if it is a story, he won't even comment it.
Correct.
He just ignore it. So he didn't even comment the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. He said that is story. You don't have to. So
who wrote the commentary for that first chapter?
The first chapter he didn't touch.
So the commentary was written by somebody, must have written it, right? All the
Shankaracharya didn't write the commentary of the first chapter. He wrote just 2 pages, but 1 paragraph. Remember, we studied that 1 paragraph in our deep learning.
Correct.
That 1 paragraph, he summarized the whole idea of the first. Okay. That's it. And he don't even spend a single moment to comment anything related to story. And that doesn't mean that story is bad or anything like that, but that was his style. He was up to the mark point.
Story is not real, meaning?
I don't know, right? We mean it could be like, it's called itihasa itself means thus it happened. So an impartial answer, partially true, because the style was if you take Purana, so how the Purana started, Vyasa trained 9 disciples, and each disciple was taught a particular story. they started telling the story to the other people. And then the suttas means those who tell the story. It is not the charioteer, but like there are different professional storytellers, because Upanishad is not reachable to common public. If you go and talk about what we just discussed, it's very difficult, even in the modern world. So how do you convey the ideas and make people disciplined and follow the dharma? So for that, these Puranas were developed. And each Purana was taught to one of these suttas. And these suttas started discussing these Puranas to all the public. From one sutta, it came down to other sutta, other sutta, other sutta. And you know, when it comes down, naturally what is going to happen? It will get diluted. The 4th chapter of the Gita, Krishna tells. So even Krishna tells, this yoga, which I am teaching you now, it is not my idea. Krishna tells, right? He tells, in the beginning of the manifestation, I taught this to Vivaswan, symbolically to sun, the first manifestation of the universe. So I taught this to the world. When the whole universe manifested, this idea of yoga was created. But what happened? Over a period of time, it could be due to wrong practitioners. It is due to once time goes by, right? People find it difficult to keep the purity. Over a period of time, it gets diluted. So, and that is why Krishna tells, I am coming and retelling the whole thing again. So understand that. So just these Puranas, one classic example, going with the scientific view, Brahma Purana, which I read very recently, I means you could see the reference to the Konark Sun Temple. When did that temple was created? 13th century. So the seed of that Purana would have been given by Vyasa, but over a period of time, what would have happened? More verses would have added. And you could see that in the Purana. In between, you could see clear disconnect and all those type of... There is one Purana which is relatively stable and pure, which is Bhagavad. That's why I always say, like, it's better to go to Bhagavata. If you want to read Purana, Ramayana is good. Vatmiki Ramayana is pure. Mahabharata is good because only 3 iterations. Mahabharata started as Jayam. Jayam was retold as Bharata. So what Vyasa wrote is Jayam. What Vyasa taught to Vaishambhayana is Jayam, which has 8,000 verses, which was told by Vaishambhayana to Janamejaya, is called Bharatam, which has 24,000 verses, which was retold by Suta, again the professional storyteller, to the rishis at Naimisharanya. That becomes Mahabharatam. So that 24,000 verses became almost 90,000 verses. So understand that. Don't think that Vyasa sit and wrote all these things. And that is wrong. So even Mahabharata itself, you need to understand. And who tells about this? Mahabharata itself. So I'm reading Mahabharata every verse, 1 or 2 verses at a time, but it will take 2-3 lifetime to read that, but it's very interesting. So there is a book by Krishna Mohan Ganguly. This is, the language is, honestly, it's very hard to follow. It's a very, very outdated language. We find it difficult to read that English. It is written in the 1800. There is a modern translation. Those who are interested, there is a complete Mahabharata translation by Ramesh Menon. I don't know how the quality, I don't want to comment on the quality, but there is a new translation in modern language. I'm reading that. I will comment on that later. The book is almost 10,000 pages, you can imagine. Any other question? So we will take 2 more sessions because I believe there are 7 verses left. We can complete that in 2 verses. 2 sessions. And then we will do one recap of this chapter. And then we will go to the interesting chapter called Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam. Again, profound concepts the ideas are there in that chapter. Okay. Sorry to take 5 minutes extra. Any other questions?
Just a comment.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what is in your brain? What matter is in your brain that you remember everything?
No.
I'm stunned. I'm stunned. Every name, everything you can say, hats off to you. I pronounce.
No. You all can do that. There is nothing special there. So please don't forget to join the Saturday event. It is good. US time, it is 9 to 12. If possible, Friday night, those who want to listen to Dr. H.R. Nagendra and Swami Swarupananda, it is 11:30, right, Gina? 11:30 US time, Friday. That is the India time, 9. But the recordings will be available because we
didn't even get the other recordings.
Oh yeah, we'll do that. We are very poor in that, but this time a team is working on that. And
we didn't register for this one, Saturday one. Can we do it now?
Yeah, it's free.
You can just go and watch it.
It's free, but register so that they know how many people came, and that will be good. And also when you get a survey, you can fill in what you liked, what you don't like, so that we can plan accordingly. And once it is done, maybe in April, I requested, I was talking about the book Janaka and Ashtavakra. So I requested the author to come and talk to us. So he will come and talk to us. You can ask any question. So if you want to read the book, we can good opportunity to interact with him directly.
I bought the book, by the way.
Nice.
It's a very good
also, the book that you just mentioned, Tao of Physics, it's in our library now. So everybody want to read it.
Wow.
So which time zone is Gina going to talk in? The 9 to 12 one or night
I'm
one?
not going to talk, Rohitji. Rajesh is going to talk. Rajesh and Vikrant are going to talk.
Okay.
I'm doing 12 minutes of yoga, yogasana.
What time zone is that?
It's a US, right?
It's
a US
time zone. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I was not planning to do. It is a last minute addition. So I was
okay.
trying to fill in another person there.
So when are they going to come out with this whole schedule? Meaning they given the
I
time
think it is
zones,
published. Gina, you published it, right?
Not the individual program schedule. It's the people talking. Yeah, speakers we did publish.
Yeah.
I can look at the website if it is published.
Oh, this is 20th March and it doesn't have a time though.
The time is there, right? It is
time, but
last page, go all the way down. You will see the time, that attachment.
We will publish something. I will publish something to our group.
They're not saying
on the first page it is not there, and then on the UC Happiness, the one whole PDF you're talking.
Yeah, the last page has the timing. When you go all the way down,
I'm opening it up. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Or if you go to the United Consciousness website, that has all the details there.
Yeah, the Swami Swarupananda worldwide. Okay, so you're saying why it should be 11:30 on Friday night?
Because
the
Swami
program is on
Swarupananda is
Saturday,
scheduled
right?
at India time.
So you may want to add that here. Because
it's all there. It's there. There are 6 different time zones.
Yeah.
There are 3 events.
3 events. So I will put what is the speaker's name, etc. in the US time zone. I will put tomorrow.
That'll be good. That has not been
the last page, I see that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
We should be able to attend 2 of them. Yeah, we should be able to attend 2 of them. I think there's a 10:30 to 1:30 on the night, which is attendable. The only one that we cannot, I guess, do is the 3 to 6.
Yeah.
Which is in the morning here, US time.
So Swami Swarupananda is the global head of Chinmaya Mission. He is occupying the position where Swami Chinmayananda resides. He's the head of 500 centers around the world. So as it means, it's really blessing to have him. So thanks to Vivekji, he's the one who arranged it. Then we have Dr. Nagendra. He's also he's the one who designed this cyclic meditation Gina teaches. So He's well versed in all the scriptures, down to earth person. So this is also phenomenal. And yeah, so we have a lot of good people. So we'll see. Okay, Punaji, could you chant?
Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shantis Shantis Shantihim Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om.
One more thing, if you have a smart TV, just subscribe the United Consciousness and Project Self channel in your account. You can watch this in a TV. That's what I do when I go to these type of events. You can watch it in the TV, so that's a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.